Hi, I'm Dan Schmitt. I do a motorcycle racing TV show, Team Chicago Challenge. But this clip for YouTube, we're going to look at how do you make throttle cables. Now I'm with Joe Stoppleworth. We're up in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, his beautiful shop here. And we're going to make new throttle cables for my Triumph, my 750 Triumph, a bike that I have owned since 1972. So you got to always keep updating the motorcycle. And so let's go check out what Joe's going to show us on how to make throttle cables and learn something about how cables work on your motorcycle. And don't forget my email. My email is teamdan45@gmail.com, and let me know what you think of this clip.
I'm Joe Stoppleworth, Joe's Custom Cables, and Dan brought over his dirt track bike. He's got these cables that hang out here in the breeze, waiting for somebody to hook on and open his throttle for him. So we're going to tuck them in, put some 90s on, and make it all pretty for him, so it doesn't, nobody else can hook onto it and open his throttle for him.
So, all right, so why did you start this cable business or service that you do for your friends?
I started building my own race bikes in the 80s, and I had all the cables were too long or too short. So I went to my local dealer, and this Jim Herzig that raced snowmobiles, he says, well, you can make your own. I got some fittings for you, and we can get some more fittings. So we ordered some stuff, and I started making my own cables, and pretty soon I'm helping out some friends, and that's pretty much what I do now. Make my own and help friends out. And sometimes I make 2 or 3 a year. Sometimes I'll make 20. Just do it for the fun of it. Yeah, so every time I go to swap meets or something, rummage sales.
Oh, that's where you find the end pieces laying around?
Well, no, I find throttles that people have laying around. And stuff.
Well, I brought some throttles with. I was even thinking about, should we go to a single one? But
2-in-1. They pull harder.
It's harder?
Yes, I don't know why.
Oh, really? So this is much better?
Yes. You know, Dan Verana. I've made some cables for Dan Verana. A 2-cable system pulls easier than a 2-in-1. I've got splitters, but a lot of twin guys prefer a 2-cable system.
Right.
They just pull easier. Why? I don't know.
Because you're basically still opening up the two same carburetors, the same springs. And I have pretty heavy-duty springs in my carbs because I don't want my throttle stuck open. And people say I could go with softer springs, but to me it's not that critical. I mean, the whole thing is you do want throttle control. You want to be able to regulate your throttle.
Right.
But having heavy springs.
So we've got these splitters. You can have 1 to 4 different cables coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And you would tuck this under the gas tank someplace so you don't see it. So you got 1 cable coming out of the throttle, goes down to the splitter. The 2 cables coming out, go to your 2 carbs. But I'm not sure the reason why these
just makes it that much harder.
Right. There's brass fitting inside here. You lube it up, and
so there should be no
drag.
Resistance, no drag.
It
right.
just pulls in there real easy.
Right. So I'm better off just sticking with what I got.
Yes.
But we're probably going to have to shorten these cables, so that's the.
Yeah, they're hard and.
Well, they are kind of old.
Yes.
I probably put these cables together 25 years ago.
They're hard and brittle, and then nowadays they make cable for tight bends.
Mm-hmm.
I can take one strand of the old cable and bend it, and I can take the whole whatever 30 wraps of a new cable and bends the same.
So the cable material is so much better now.
Now it's the way they wrap the cable.
The way they wrap. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The old cable had like one hard wire going through the center, and then they wrapped it.
Mm-hmm.
And now they just, I don't know, weave it.
Right.
And
Right.
it just bends so much easier.
Okay.
Being that we are starting new with this, we'll take the carbs apart, take the top off, because this cable is going to be junk. We're putting a different throttle up on top, so we get the 90s in. They just came straight out before and hung down low. So we'll take the carb apart, disassemble the cable, and we will get our pieces that we decide to run a nice clean line through here. Then we'll set the new cable in. So we'll take this apart. Those of you who have never taken one apart, there's a clip in there. Pop that out and your cable comes out like so. Probably set that on the ground. Doesn't get damaged if it would roll off. Cable comes out like so.
Okay, so this is the one going to replace the 90
Yep.
at the carburetor.
This will replace the 90 at the carburetor. You can buy these. I get them through Flanders. They're out of California, and that'll fit in there. That way it'll still swivel when you turn it, so you don't have to spin the cable around with it when you're replacing or rejetting or something. So we'll put this back on and we'll run some cable down to this. I guess that can just set on there for now.
Okay, so you got one done. We found the throttle that had the 90 on it. And it
Correct.
was also Barnett
Yep.
throttle. So we just had a
Magura.
I
I believe those are. I believe that is a Magura.
You think they're McGruer?
Magura? Yes.
Really? I
Yeah,
thought it was Barnett that I bought it from. Could be. Maybe one was metric and one was
Yeah,
American.
right. Yeah. Well, when you pick stuff up at swap meets, you never know what you're getting.
Right, right. Well, I've had this throttle here for 45 years at least, so.
Right.
But I have replaced cables. I mean, I did make these cables here were plastic, and they were made by, I think these are also Barnett cables.
Yeah.
And I
Does look like there is solder on the end.
soldered
there.
the ends here, and you're going to show me the real way to do the ends.
Yes. Yeah, when we get to that, this is a lead solder mix
Mm-hmm.
that I purchase and put it in my.
And you have a heat sink.
I have a lead pot.
Right.
Yes, put it in there, and it just slowly disappears. And we will get our black housing out. Run it down close to the steering stem is best for any cables, because when your handlebars turn, it doesn't move. If you had them out here, every time you turn, you need longer and shorter cable. So if you can keep it as tight as you can to your steering head, it works great. So we'll put the cable in where we're going to route it. Like so. Lay under the tank. Down. to the housing. Put my fingers where I want it, and I'm going to cut it. I think that looks good. Alright, and we'll take this housing off, put some ends on, put the caps on. We'll put these caps on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to grind this down a little bit. When you cut it, it bends it out a little.
Right.
So I'll grind them off, put these caps on, so they don't, the cable doesn't wear on that housing.
Correct.
Inside there. So we'll put these caps on, get them started, and I usually pound them on the bench.
So how many companies sell parts to make cables?
Motion Pro, Flanders that I usually buy from because they don't have a minimum order, and they'll ship anything. So Flanders is out of California. Now we're getting ready to put the inner cable in. So I got my outside housing. I know there's about 3 inches on each end that stick out. So I'll leave a little on the end, cut it. Then I'll put the carburetor end on first. Pick one of these little guys out. Then you fray the end so it can't slide off. Pull it up towards so it stays on. You dip it in the flux, and then in the lead solder mix. There you have your carburetor end.
So, by putting it in the solder mix, the solder
adheres to the cable.
And fills the internal.
Yes.
Also, so it can never come off.
Can't come off. Now we will assemble.
Begin the assembly,
Yep.
right?
Now we will put this in the carburetor and put the carburetor apart together. Put the cable on, and we will run it up to our housing here, and we will get our measurement for inside. Put the cable in, put our locking plate on. Put our spring. In the hole. While you're doing this, you need to keep the cable tight so that it doesn't drop out the bottom. You can see it's right here.
Correct.
It can drop out the bottom and might get caught on the outside, and then you'll get
have a false reading.
A false
reading.
A false reading.
Right.
Correct.
So now we're putting a 190 degree on.
Yeah, we'll get that 90 on. Here we we can assemble the carb on this. So we'll slide the cable in. It comes out the top. There it is. There. Now we see where that other barrel has to go. As you twist the throttle, it's right here. Here's one. The other one's got to go in here. And we will take a measurement, cut it off, put the barrel on. There.
So what are you thinking? You're going to cut off?
I'm going to take my magic marker, put a line there. I see the barrel's about 1/8 inch below there, so I'll cut another 1/8 of an inch off, and we'll solder another end on, the lead one on. So we have to take this back apart.
So you're cutting it at the mark.
Our black mark is gone, so we went another 1/8 of an inch lower. So we cut that off. We'll put our new end on. Fray this one. Get that up inside. And we'll put it. We'll dunk it in the flux. The flux helps keep the lead in the solder, keeps it sticking on. So, there. You make sure it fits into the tube and it rotates
freely. Right.
Yes. So
it's not stuck on an angle, right?
So, finish cooling it off. Pull on it to loosen it again. That lead and solder is stiff, but it will move. It is flexible. So also...
So you want to clean the circumference?
Yes, I'm going to clean this off, make sure it's the right diameter. So now that the edges are rounded, it's just kind of fooling it that it's going to fit up in there. So there we have it. So as we rounded that off, it does fit up through. We'll check, make sure it fits in the barrel fine. Rotates great. So we can begin assembly.
So you want no restriction in this area here. There should be a nice smooth fit.
Smooth fit. Back in. This is your throttle stop down here. So when you put this in, you feel it stop right there. That's your throttle stop. Some throttles have a peg in. This just happens to be one. There's a hole here. Keeps the throttle from turning when you're really twisting on it. So you need to get that lined up. Pops in. Assemble our carb. Everything fits through. Rubber's in there, seals everything up. Works looks good. Practice is to pinch the cable between the spring. Helps you get your slide together. Put your cable in. Put your lock down. The spring holds the lock in place. So you release. Slides down. Cables look nice. Rolls nice. You can hear the slides hitting in the carb, so you know they're going down.
And a nice clean operation.
Nice clean operation. No more cables hanging out over here.
Right. Plenty of adjustment.
Remember when we started, the cables were hanging down off over here. Like so.
Right.
So now they run up near the steering head, so when he turns, motor won't rev up and nobody's going to be able to reach in and grab them and make him go wide open, not have to turn the throttle. Now for our final thing, we have cable lube. So we will take it back apart. I don't want to lube it until I'm for sure with everything, because the oil will contaminate the cable and then it doesn't like to resolder. So I make sure everything is all hunky-dory first, then I'll lube the cables.
So how often should the cables be lubed?
I don't know, I feel you should lube them at least once a month, depends how much you ride.
Right.
Keeps the dust out, dirt out, and it flushes the dirt. Moisture out if you wash it.
So you should take the cable out of the carburetor when you lube it?
Yes. On this one, it's easier to lube it from the bottom up. Some cables, like a clutch cable, you'll lube from the top down. There are different style cable lubers. This one is a twin screw. This one just has one screw. So how these work is you slide your cable in the housing, slide it up to where it doesn't slide anymore. The cable sticks out. It's got actually a little hole. Tighten these up. It is a little messy. I use liquid wrench, chain and cable lube. It's slimy. It is slimy like the old cable lubes used to be. There's a hole. Yeah. You put your tube in and you spray it. Doesn't take real long and it comes out top there. See the top?
Oh, right, right.
It's kind of cool. Wish I would have invented it. And we'll do the same thing on the other cable. Once again, I'm Joe Stoppleworth, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Dan Schmitt has a really nice moving throttle now. If you need to get a hold of me, this isn't rocket science. You just need to be patient. Think about what's happening here. The throttle turns, it pulls the slide up. and you need to connect the two together. Stuff is available. If you go on Flanders.com, I believe they're out of California. Your local dealership can buy the stuff for you if you're not a dealer. And it's jlstoppy, stoppy @gmail.com. You need to get a hold of me, or I'm on Facebook, also District 16 Vice President. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe, for these wonderful throttle cables. To get a hold of Joe, it's Joe's Custom Cable. On Facebook, it's Joe Stoppleworth. His Gmail is jlstoppy@gmail.com. District 16, he is the Vice President of that Wisconsin chapter. To contact me, it's teamdan45@gmail.com. Remember, you can always search on YouTube with Dan Schmitt Motorcycle Racing for great motorcycle racing action.